everyone, this is Francesco Abbruzzino with the Scoop News, doing a podcast. I had some time. I thought, okay, I'll come on. I'll do a podcast. Let me see. Let me share this real quick on some pages. Give me time to build it up. And not a lot going on today, just some basic coverage that I was going to come on. I'll open up the phone line early. If anybody wants to dial into that, they can. And let me share this real quick into a group. It is Monday, busy day, always busy. Actually, no, I do all my work on the weekend, so I don't really have a lot of stuff to do on the Mondays. Mondays are like my slow days. So I was going to do a speech on Friday I told you guys about yesterday, and I'm not doing that now due to time constraints. They wanted to do it at a certain time, and I'm not going to be able to make that up in Sarasota. So just following up on that, and there we go, all shared. Okay. Let me see. I'll go ahead and I will open the phone line early, and we'll do some coverage. I was going to cover some news, and let me see if I can get to that screen. Boom. Okay. All right. So some of the local news that's going on. Basically, if you want to call in, you can call in. I got to flip over to another screen if you do call in. The local coverage, it was funny. I was out on the Sarasota Police Department page, and I came across this, and I was utterly amazed that people would write these comments on a public forum, and I just decided to share them. At first, I was just going to put the negative because I'm like, what kind of idiots would do this? And but then I decided to put out all of them, the positive and the negative. It's only the first few, but. Like this Gary guy up there. Kennedy is a sorry excuse of a member of your inept department. I am not a criminal. I'm a retired military veteran, law-abiding citizen. Wear my vet colors on my hat and color with pride. 100% disabled vet with numerous illnesses and disabilities. But some of them, like this one person down here, just started going down about their lack of professionalism, et cetera, et cetera. Again, I don't know. I'm not one that puts that stuff out on a public page. It always bugs me when I see individuals do it. I tend to refrain from that. Call me crazy. If you do want to call in, what is that call-in number? 941-882-0146. And I'm looking at that page to see if anybody does call in. Arlington Parks, the cities. If you don't know this, it's a huge debate out there. And basically, the county can't manage the parks anymore, and they can't manage it from the terms of the financial standpoint. But based upon what the cities are finding out, they really couldn't manage them in your normal maintenance regard either, because they're finding that these parks are in disrepair. Kind of like this one out at Arlington Park, the aquatic facility is open, but the park isn't. They got to do some renovations. And what they're finding out is how much extra money they're going to have to spend to go in and fix the parks that are in disrepair. And it's going to cost them far more than they had budgeted for. And the parks already are killing them. I know in Venice, I can't remember the specific number. It was 1 million, 2 million, somewhere in there, that they were going to have to spend because they got to hire someone to take care of the parks, all the maintenance, and all the specific that go into managing all these different parks that are being handed over from the county. And I'm wondering if they're going to look at them and see if they're in disrepair, like the city of Sarasota is finding out. Northport's gotten a waiver for 2 years on theirs before they take it over. But the aquatic facility is open there at the county, which is a good thing. I know a lot of people are looking to go swimming in the pools nowadays because, sorry, I just saw something come up on the news. I think you guys know about this. SCFD conducted a 2-acre prescribed burn today in South Venice Lemon Bay Preserve. The fire was to burn off dead vegetation. I think I put out something earlier about that. In case you saw some smoke up in the air out in South Venice, Inglewood, South Northport area. This is a good thing. Northport. Income eligible families. I know there's a lot of seniors out there. If you guys recall, I went out to that apartment complex, Willow Creek, where they have a lot of seniors that are living there. They live paycheck to paycheck, and they've been having some major issues with the management out there. Well, there's a lot of seniors, families like that out in Northport because the affordable housing is a little bit more priced better out there in Northport. And so it's a good thing the city's come up with these income eligible families and local seniors invited to register for the city's Home for the Holidays program in October. You can register in October. They got the Adopt-A-Shop where they'll go out, they'll adopt you, and people will help you get clothes or some of the basic necessities that you may need. Maybe perhaps you don't have family members. I think Rosemary, the lady I was talking to, doesn't have any family members, things like that. And then they got the Giving Tree. So it's a good thing there. If you can, check it out, read it. Maybe you can be a part of that program and help out some of the individuals that are out there. Venice Utility, they did name the new department head since John Vizeliziano, I think his name was, has left. And it's the same guy that called me a liar, fake news, in regards to the pollution coming out of the outflow. And then we found out that he was not being honest. But they're talking here about the utilities department and the backflows, how they're now responsible for them. The city will be is authorizing the utility department to revise the cross-connection control ordinance to enhance the protection of your portable water. So you're probably wondering, what the hell does that mean to me? It's basically the backflow, ensuring that you have good water supply and all that good stuff in Venice. And some of this stuff you guys might want to call in. I'm thinking more down the road of when you get to why is that national stuff on my basic one? What I put out today in regards to Venice with the tree friendly thing. And again, the number is 941-882-0146. Another accident. That one had 37 shares. You could see it. This is all the information that comes out on this stuff. I put as much as I can. Unfortunately, you got to update your browser if you're checking from your phone, because a lot of times it doesn't automatically update. It closed down the traffic for a while on northbound, just around, I think it was Toledo Blade, if I could see on here. Sumter, just beyond Sumter. So it wasn't a fatality, just a major incident, multiple cars. That was this morning in the congestion. I know some people wrote, yeah, I'm involved in that. You could see it was a pretty bad accident there. So not a lot of information coming out on that one, though. I'm wondering why. Let me see something here. That's why I'm not under local news. I'm trying to figure out why national news is involved in there. Hospital chain. This is one. This is where somebody might call in. And I don't know if I have that number up there. 941-882-0146. It's gotten a lot of shares. Wow, 147 shares. I did not expect that. And I'm going to tell you what I'm in medical billing. Hospitals bill the same CPTs. CPTs basically says, this is what's wrong with Johnny. Okay, he's got I'm doing an exam. It's not what's wrong. We're doing an exam on him. We're doing some EMS, some ultrasound, whatever it is. That's the CPT. And then your DX is what's wrong with them. The ICD-10s that they list down and breaking down, you usually put up to 12, no more than 12 on there generally. And they found that the hospital chain that owns Venice Bayfront and some other, a whole conglomerate of them, has been paying physicians to refer, which is a no-no, billing inflated rates, and billing for basically for CPTs on individuals that they didn't either receive the treatment. I don't know if they weren't there. I didn't get all the specifics that it was broken down to. It came to $260 million. Now, somebody after this sent me an email and it said, well, that's not just that. There's a lot more, and they showed me all these different lawsuits. I could tell you, when this company came in, they did something that you see a lot in the medical arena, and I don't think the common individual is really aware of it. My clinics do it a lot. And what happens is, generally when patients go into clinics, you don't really you pay your copay, co-insurance if you have it, but if there's a deductible or any more money, you really don't have to pay that until your EOB comes in. And they try to get the money, but they really can't. So generally speaking, most patients walk out the door. And we just actually had this at one of my primary care physicians that I manage. Today we had this conversation where when the patient comes in, you try to collect the money or you send them bills and you do all that good stuff. And you find that you're lucky maybe if 10% of the patients pay their bill. So I have one practice that has like $7 million in patient balances that are due. And it's hard to collect it. So what they do is they will send out a few billings. I think it's 3 or 4 to make sure that they're within the law. and then they'll send it off to a collection agency. But a lot of times that's a pain in the ass. So what a lot of them are doing now, and what this company did when they took over Venice Regional Bayfront about 2 years ago, somewhere in there, they'll send it off to a collection company that basically buys that debt, and they buy it for 25 cents on the dollar generally. It could be less, could be more. And basically they're a bunch of lawyers, or they'll hire a bunch of lawyers. As soon as they buy that debt, they send all the bills out for suit. And one of my buddies, who I used to do radio shows with, Donnie, he used to be at WSRQ. They sent him one, and they said, look, you owe us, I don't remember the specific number, let's say $2,000. And he's like, whoa, hold up. I paid this under the old company. I don't owe this. But the problem is they were already filing suit. And it would cost him more money to fight it, the amount of money that was owed. Maybe it was $900. I don't remember the amount. And he ended up just paying it twice. And they know this. And it's their strategy. And a lot of people don't realize it, that, it could be, I've seen clinics take it within a month, some within 2 months, where they'll send this over to these companies, and next thing you know, they're getting a letter from an attorney saying, hey, we're filing suit, this money is owed. And they want the full amount. So they buy it for 25%, but they want the full 100%. In terms of these guys, it's very well known. What happens is, and sorry I'm talking extensively about this because I'm pretty much, that's what I'm in the business. Basically, what they do is, they'll do this. Doctors are getting on with hospitals a lot because they know they can get on and they can bill these higher inflated rates that are ridiculously high. It's unnecessarily high too. They'll take just your basic billing where you might go out and get an exam for, I don't know, $80 or whatever is the normal allowable, and they could say, well, it's $500 with us, with the hospital. And the other thing a lot of people don't realize is when they sit there and they say, okay, yeah, you got something, you strained your leg. Let us give you this brace. And you think, wow, the doctor's giving me this little brace. I don't know if I'll need it. Most of the people just throw it in the corner. Well, what that brace is, they might have bought it for $50, $60, and they're billing your insurance like hundreds of dollars. I used to have this one clinic. They would buy a TENS unit, which basically you'd put on your back and it would send electric pulses through, for $20, $25. And it depends on the quantity you buy and all that good stuff. And based upon the CPT, he would sell it for over $1,100 and bill it out to insurance companies. So you always got to be cognizant of that stuff. So it looks like Venice got caught in it. And again, if you guys want to call on me, I'm surprised no calls on that. 941-882-0146 is the call-in number if you want to talk about it. And you know what? Let me do this. Let me put up this screen because I could talk over on here. Some of the other stuff that's out there. Ooh, we just saw this. Northport just posted something about not shopping until justice is served. Somebody got caught shoplifting. There's a $3,000 reward. I'll put it up after this. But the Harvey Milk, this didn't get a lot of hits on it, and I'm not surprised. I kind of am surprised. I always have the Harvey Milk Festival, which last year was at 5 points. It's always usually at 5 points, but I remember a lot of people were complaining because the music, it was too loud. But basically, they talked about the last days of the Independent Film Festival and going out there and enjoying it and what it represents, the whole LBGTQ, all those acronyms, community. The other thing is here in Venice, this probably got a lot of attention, 63 shares. And this was interesting because I'm surprised that Bob Daniels is following through with this. I'm glad about it. It's making sure that the catchword here is new HOAs, not HOAs, but new developments and new homes. And the other thing that if you watch the regular meeting the other day, last week I think it was, they kept saying, what's the city doing? Is the city using fertilizer? Is the city using Florida-friendly planning and landscaping? Because everyone's concerned about the environment right now. And essentially, no, they weren't. And so they came out, and Bob Daniels said at the next meeting, I would like to put this on the agenda, that we try to make a motion to include the that all City of Venice property be required to use the Florida-friendly yards and landscape. This will be required with all new building applications submitted to the city. In addition to proposed landscape on the city-owned properties, and he gives certain dates in there, and you can find all the specifics, and he summarizes it, and we put up the 111 page, I think, document on it, and it covers the what's he say here? He's concerned that there's approximately 6,000 homes, new hospitals, new city structures being built, use landscape programs, and contaminants that go along with them. Our citizens have spoken. They have said that they do not want this, that they want us to become more responsible stewards of the processes that we go through, landscaping and all that good stuff. And so kudos to Bob for following through on this. Now, where we'll get, I don't know. We've all seen that, people, they're not everybody's on board. And if you look at, I put something out, I think it was Congressman Buchanan, and he asked, okay, percentage-wise, what's more of a concern for you? And I think red tide was down around 13%. Now, granted, a lot of people are away from the beaches, but everybody's impacted by it, and you're impacted by it because tourism drives our revenues here, the county's revenues, the city revenue. It supplies the jobs, it keeps businesses in place and all that stuff. So even though some people said, well, they're a little disconnected because they're not right up on the beaches. Yeah, well, they should be connected, I think. But what do I know? I'm an idiot, just like most of us, huh? But it's good that Bob's up on that. Will they follow through? I don't know. It's kind of like Northport, where Northport's doing the voluntary fertilizer thing. To follow through in Venice's footsteps. Well, do we really need a voluntary one? I think most people that are worried about it are voluntarily gonna not use fertilizer, are gonna be environmentally conscientious about a lot of the things that we're doing out there. I don't know if we need a voluntary. I think we need just more stringent laws. And like I said yesterday in my video report on red tide, is we need to find out, get all these agencies together and have them have a conference on how best to resolve a lot of the issues from the outflows. Because I don't know, to be honest, I don't know who's in charge of all the outflows. Venice can sit here, like Venice is spending $600,000 in grants and stuff to measure the pollution that's coming out of there. They never did it. Yet they were telling me I was fake news when I was saying pollutions are being spilled out of there and they're antagonizing the red tide, and that's what's making it a lot worse. Yet we found out they weren't measuring it. And that's kind of like the guy with the county, when the guys were saying, well, we're just dumping in the sewer, it's not going into the runoff. And then later there was another video showing that it was actually seeping down into the runoff. Nobody made any comment about that. But how about the testing? How do we know it's not leaking? Once you put it into this manhole, and how do we know the pipes aren't leaking? How do we know there's no environmental damage? How do we know it's not like a septic tank that's maybe got a leak and a breakage, and it's seeping all that waste into the surrounding area? I know that happens. Mayaca is known for it. It's with all the flooding and the septic tanks out there. That's a huge concern out there, and it all ties back into the Gulf. So who's in charge of these outflows? I showed you guys on Shamrock Park. It was just flowing like crazy, some nasty ass water. I remember the city of Miami, somewhere in Miami, one of those entities out there, they went ahead and said, look, we need to get rid of these outflows. I think they got rid of 11, and it's going to take like years, 6, 7, 15 years, don't remember specifics, to get rid of them. In addition to that, the Okeechobee, Scott says it's not him. The federal level, Nelson and Rubio say it's not them. Who the hell is it? I don't know. And just get all these entities together and try to figure it out. Who is responsible for doing all this stuff? The other thing, too, is during yesterday's show, we had a call in from Kurt. And it was interesting that he said that nothing's being tested. And where are the results? If they are testing, where's the transparent results? And like I said, they're not. Venice, we found out they weren't. I don't know about City of Sarasota, City of Northport. I don't know about Lido. I don't know about the unincorporated Sarasota County. Are they testing the water in all these different units? But we did find out from the WINK report is that they're not testing the air. So when we're out there and we're talking about the schools, And we had a parent come on and say, you know, my kid's out there playing. He's got asthma, blah, blah, blah. And then another parent came into the city council meeting in Venice on Monday, said the same issue. Everybody laughed at it. Everybody said, you're ridiculous. You're lying, blah, blah, blah. All that good stuff, blah, blah, blah. And it ends up that I had a teacher contact me that I can't say what he does or where he's at and all that stuff, but he actually got sick at Venice Elementary from red tide because it antagonized his current conditions that he had. And he was glad that I put it out there. The problem is WFLA. John Rogers wanted to do a story on it, and he asked me for some information. Next thing I know, I never saw it. And I think that the school system and everybody's been shutting it down. And they do what they normally do, what they do to me, what they do to everybody. Oh, Frank's lying. That's not a problem. That person's lying. That's not a problem, without giving any facts. We found out from Wink, like I was talking about, there are no ear testing. The county, the health department, the cities, they went on this investigation. Nobody's checking the ear toxicity. And even outside of red tide, how come? I'd like to know what our ear standards are here. How do we know what they are? And even if you look at like the Florida Department of Health does, I should say, they do check the water in the outflows just on the Gulf. And there's tons of outflows on the ICW, both personal, community, and city-owned or county-owned. And they don't test those, but they test those like in Venice, the 10 on the Gulf. They check in Sarasota, the one up on what is it, 10th Street. And those results are even not always in an accurate time. Like I went on there on, I think it was Friday or Thursday, and they had put results up that day that were from 4 days prior. Today I went in there, and I think the results are from the 26th. It's the 1st, and they just updated those. So what does it help me to get the results from the 26th on the 1st? As we see, it changes and shifts rather quickly. So, you know, got to talk some of the stuff there. So again, if you guys want to call in, the number's up there now, 882-0146. PTSD benefits. This has been out there for a while. It just goes into effect now. Some people wish that there was a little bit more teeth to it, and I guess it's for individuals that experience. You're on the job. You're a firefighter. You're an officer. Whatever. There weren't any PTSD benefits. Now there are, but it's under certain circumstances. If you see a child die, and I forget all the specifics, I listened to it this morning, but a lot of the first responders were saying there's just not enough oomph to it, and we need more oomph, if you will. And their concern is there's just not enough, and what can we do? But it's a start. Like everything, you're not going to get stuff right away, but it's good to have this stuff as a starting point for a lot of the different issues that are out there. What else did we see here? The new laws, the pedestrian. That pedestrian, you know, I think, I forget where we're at, but we're one of the most dangerous areas in the state in regards to pedestrian traffic and incidents involving individuals, fatal incidents involving individuals. And that was over on Stickney Point, just on the east side of the bridge. Which was a travesty. That happened on Saturday night, I think. So you're seeing way too many of those. We see way too many of those. And let's see. Here's the air quality one that I just talked to you about. Southwest Florida air quality. Is it safe, and who's monitoring it? On any of this stuff, if you go to the uncensoredreport.com, there's a search bar at the top left. You can type in any word, and if that word is within a story, the headline or whatsoever, it should pull it up. And that was very interesting. Again, it just covered that nobody is monitoring our air quality, which, you know, to me is a concern, especially when you start factoring in red tide. It had 23 shares, which is pretty high for that type of issue. Let's see. How did I already get it? There it is. Pete Emmerich. Pete Emmerich is running for city commission in Northport. He's an activist. He's ran before. I believe he lost. And his wife works with Sun Magazine. Real nice lady, both of them. Probably one of the only people I like at the Sun, or the Gondo type operation. She's been covering West Nile virus for a couple of years, and she's been on top of it. And she's always fed me stories. I told her I can't put out the full story because the Gondo gets freaky. So A lot of times I'll take what her husband Pete puts out, and he put out this interesting thing. It didn't get how many shares did this get? 19 shares, which isn't a lot, and I'm surprised. And here's the issue: it talks about West Nile virus. It talks about how it's impacting Sarasota, Charlotte County, and Manatee County, a little bit in Hillsborough, but primarily in Sarasota County. And the collection date, it says 8/23, 8/30. They had 17 in West Nile virus, and I think that's an annual number. There's 3 mosquito pools tested in Sarasota and Duval, okay? So obviously we have a West Nile virus issue possibly here in Sarasota County. Yet if you look at the spraying, you don't see a lot of spraying. Now I don't go out a lot at night, and so I'm not sure about the mosquitoes, if it's infested out there. I imagine it is. I don't know. I don't go outside and hang out and get eaten up by mosquitoes. But I look at the monitoring of the spraying, and we're not spraying a lot based upon the maps. And I know the guy out used to come on here. I had to get rid of him because he pissed me off at one point. But he comes on here and he'll say that they're spraying all the time, and I'll go and I'll look on their site, and it's not really correlating with a lot of spraying. And so you got to wonder if you have what seems to be a problem with West Nile, why aren't they spraying a little bit more? And you're just not seeing enough of it. And so, Pete continues to pound that point home, and I don't know if his wife is helping with that, because I know she's written a few stories on it. The dead manatees, and I think I covered this in the report yesterday. It's weird. You'll see videos, and they'll say this is, I think I was looking at one that said siesta yesterday. And you look at it, and the water looked pretty clear. It looked like something you'd want to go and jump in. It looked awesome. I was ready to go. But then that the red tide is out there. And what happens is the wind is so strong out of the east the last couple of days, people tend to forget it, and they think, well, red tide's gone because the smell's gone. And in that video, the water looked clear. Yet you still see a few dead animals showing up. And I think we actually had a total of 3 dead manatees in the Venice, Sarasota area over the weekend. Now, some people might be saying, well, there's not as much dead fish. But then as we saw from that one guy's video who goes diving offshore, his name will pop up over here in a second. What was his name? I forget his name, but as he goes diving offshore, there's not a lot of fish life out there. It's pretty much destitute. It's a ghost town in the water. Everything's gone. Everything's dead. And so you're not going to see as many fish kills, I would think, because not as many fishes are out there with the red tide bloom. But what all this is doing is leading people to think, okay, red tide, most of it's over. We're not seeing a lot of dead fish anymore. We're not smelling it because the wind's pushing it away. And this happened a couple weeks ago. So we all started saying, hey, it's over. We can celebrate. And then next thing you know, the winds shift. It comes back. You start seeing a few dead mammals and stuff again. And I personally am tired of it. I know a lot of people are tired of it. A lot of people are looking at moving because of it. And it's just a travesty. And I sit here wondering all the time, what can be done about it? It's not an easy solution. And I get it's easier to blame a lot of the politicians, and a lot of them are to blame. They should be taking more action. I think somebody said, you criticize Rubio. He took action. Yeah, he took action just within the last couple months. Where's he been his whole time there? And I'm a registered Republican now. I changed. I wasn't registered. Now I am, because I got pissed of not being able to vote in the primaries. But Nelson's done nothing in his 40 years, and Scott's done nothing in his 8 years in government and as the governor. They all suck, And if you look at our choices, you have either Nelson or Scott. Both of them suck on that one issue. So you can't really vote water when you're voting for senator, because both of them are horrible on that issue. So then you go into your typical stuff where people draw the line between right and left and blue and red and all that good stuff. Now No call-ins today. 941-882-0146. What else we got here? Erin Brokovich, I put something out. She's coming to Fort Myers, I think, in 2 days. I think she's down there through Friday. Somebody asked me if I'm going. No, I got too much work. I'm not going. I don't, to be honest with you, I don't know what the big hula is about her. Everybody's so excited about her. Me, I could care less. Let's see. City manager takes action to change the metal lids on the product. Did you guys see that? Poor Charlie the dog. And I opined in there. I wonder if Venice, unincorporated Sarasota County, City of Northport, if they have those metal lids and if they're going to take similar action. Who would have thought that something like that would have led to a dog being electrocuted? So that's a travesty there. How to devise toxins, water is life rally. They had a water is life rally up there. It's funny. That whole water is life, the South Florida water thing that John Heim guy's involved with. How about the disservice he's done to them? And I think this other guy, Eaton's on there. He seems credible, and I think he has connections here to Venice. But that John Heim guy, they got to get rid of him. And I think he's one of the original members on there. I think he said he was leaving, but his financial irresponsibility and just the way he presents himself, he's hurting that whole initiative. And I can tell you, I used to not mind getting on there and sharing their stuff a lot more, but I don't really now because of that guy. Let's see. Crime Stoppers back in January, homicides and burglars. I put a lot of those up there. A few burglar or homicides on there that have gone unsolved. And so I wanted to show some love that way because that page doesn't get a lot of views, and so you don't get a lot of resolution on a lot of those outstanding crimes that are out there. City of Venice is educating residents on how to cut down on. I covered a lot of this on Sunday, so I think most of this was on Sunday. I was hoping to get some calls here. But like most people are working probably, and what I'll probably try to do is when I do these, it'll be when I have time, which on Mondays is usually earlier versus later, or some days I won't even be able to do it. I'd like to get more calls in there, and you could talk about the different issues that are out there that we're facing on a regular basis, and I'm trying to see if I missed anything. No, I didn't. So that's it. Oh, Sarasota Police are wearing pink for cancer awareness, and I think that's it. We do have, I think Sarasota's got their regular meeting today. Northport's got a special meeting going on right now. I was watching for a little bit, but that's it. So that's everything. I think you guys are up to speed. That's it for this podcast. If you guys want some national news, I'm trying to stay away from politics more and more on my national page, but if you look up the uncensoredreport.com, or not .com, the Uncensored Report on Facebook or Twitter, you should be able to find that. That's my national page. And I think that's it. Everybody have a great day. This has been Frankie with The Scoop.